Hi everyone. Another week has gone by, and with it, more allegations of corruption. Isn't it sad that amidst a pandemic, when we should be looking out for the welfare of others, so many people are still behaving selfishly? Millions of rands have gone into the pockets of people who've scored tenders unscrupulously. Selfishness is all around us. Do you know someone who is self centered, self absorbed, and self serving? We see it in government, we see it in corporate, we see it in others. But what about ourselves? Are we able to critically judge ourselves? In 1 Corinthians 11, Paul asks us to examine ourselves. It's a difficult exercise to do and far more painful to admit, but it's necessary if we are to become better people. Selfishness can be defined as a lack of consideration for others. It's excessive or exclusive concern for oneself and our own welfare or advantage. The Greek word for selfish is egoistikos. This refers to our sense of self-esteem or self-importance. Another word for selfish is stinginess or minginess, being tight-fisted or ungenerous. Not sure how selfish you are? Here are a few questions you can ask yourself. Are you sometimes accused of being self-centered? Do you enjoy spending money on yourself more than others? Would you help the poor and needy even if you're not allowed to post it on social media? Are you concerned that helping others may affect your reputation or other interests? Do you reserve most of your time for yourself? When you tell people, if you need anything, don't hesitate to ask me, do you really mean it? Or are you secretly wishing they don't come back to you? Your best friend just broke up with their partner. Do you listen to everything they have to say and comfort them? Or do you tell them how upset you are, especially because you really liked the person and now you won't be seeing them again? You are sitting on a plane and a family who has been assigned separate seats asks if you would swap with them so they can sit together. This means you would end up with the middle seat. Do you give up your seat, or do you insist that you specifically booked that seat and it's not your problem? The truth is, we all have a degree of selfishness, and it's seen in some circumstances more than others. Why do we think twice about parting with our money, time, or resource? Firstly, it's the culture of the world we live in. It's each man for himself, a culture of individualism, focusing on our own needs and wants. Some believe if they give to others, it will set a precedent and they'll be inundated with requests for help. Some say, I worked hard for this, I earned it, it's mine, and I can spend it however I want to. Many of us think about all the things we could do with that same money if we just kept it. Others are waiting for the day they will earn enough or win the lottery and will then have enough to give. The truth is, if we can't give from what we have now, then we'll find it even harder to give when we have more. For us Christians, the most basic form of giving is the returning of the holy tithe. When this is done, God is automatically placed above self. God will never trust us with the more, the mega, the macro, if we aren't obedient to His word. The nature of our God is to give, and if we are to accurately display His nature, we should also demonstrate His selflessness. If this isn't enough reason, listen to this study by American research psychologist Bernard Rumland. He asked participants to list 10 people they knew best and to label each of them as happy or unhappy. They then had to go through the list again and label each one as selfish or unselfish. He found that all the people labeled happy were also labeled unselfish. He concluded that those who are focused on their own happiness are far less likely to be happy and content than those who are devoted to making others happy. How ironic is that? Philippians 2 verses 3 to 4 does a good job of summing up what we need to do. It says, Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each to the interests of others. As part of our nature, we should consistently look for ways in which to be a blessing in every sphere. Here are some practical ways in which we can change our selfish nature to that of selflessness. How about paying a stranger's bill at a restaurant? Surprising someone in front of you at the store by covering their grocery bill? Paying a child's school fees? Blessing someone with a gift who may never be able to buy you one in return? Furnishing the home of an underprivileged family? Or blessing someone with a car who would probably never afford one? It's so much easier to give away stuff at home that we've already used, but that, I'd argue, is convenience, not selflessness. Children have a lot to teach us. A fascinating study was conducted by the University of Washington among 100 children, all 17 months old. They wanted to test if infants are capable of selfless behavior. They chose fruit that kids generally love and placed it on a tray. The researcher, a stranger, pretended to accidentally drop the fruit and then tried to unsuccessfully reach for it. The adult's apparent desire for the fruit triggered an automatic helping response in the babies. More than half of the children picked up the fruit and handed it to the researcher. A similar experiment was done with a different group of children. This time, parents were asked to bring in their babies just before snack time when they knew that they would be hungry. The researchers believed this would definitely increase the possibility of the children eating the fruit themselves. Guess what? The results were similar to the first study. The kids looked longingly at the fruit, but still gave it away. How amazing is that? What's more is that the researchers found that children from certain cultural backgrounds were more likely to help than others. This shows what an important role our home environment and parenting plays in the breaking of selfishness. There's an Indian tale about a selfish man who inherited a rice field. The first year, the man irrigated the field and it produced a bountiful harvest. The water actually flowed into the field next door, and his neighbor also reaped a great harvest. But the next year, the selfish man told himself, "Hey, water is a precious resource. Why am I just giving it away?" So he built a structure that would prevent the water from flowing into his neighbor's field. The decision proved disastrous. He lost his crop that year because irrigation water nourished the fields only while it was flowing. When it was prevented from doing so, the water became stagnant and the field turned into a swamp. Imagine all that God has given us. If we are selfish and keep it all for ourselves, we'll become a dismal swamp, wallowing in our own selfish desires. But if we share it with others, we open up the floodgates of blessing for them and, inadvertently, for ourselves. This week, I urge you to break the mindset of selfishness and endeavor to consistently seek out ways to be a blessing to others. Have a wonderful week.